Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. I'm your host, Rebecca, aka Crafting Journey, and I recap live trials. Currently covering this trial of Michelle Traconis, which is going very, very slowly. So yesterday ended like 4 o'clock-ish because the state ran out of witnesses. So the judge was like, make sure you have some witnesses tomorrow, like more witnesses, They don't start court till 10 o'clock in the morning. Then they have to take the morning break, and then they have a long lunch, and then they take an afternoon break, and then, crazy. Anyway, I'm cold. Let me put my blanket on. So, have a sip of coffee, and then we'll just get right into it. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, that's important. Make sure you hit all and ring that thumbs up bell. Yeah, the thumbs up thing. Hit that. Yeah. All right, guys. Interesting day. Interesting day. And I've been doing a lot of background research on this case as it progresses, just because the trial is actually going so slowly. And one of the things I figured out, this is really interesting. Fotis, when he was still alive, before he took his own life, he had a couple of lawyers that were representing him. And one of those lawyers was Norm Pattis. Now, you guys probably don't remember Norm Pattis, but I do. He was the attorney that represented Alex Jones. I don't know if you remember the Alex Jones case. Well, one of his cases. Because Alex Jones had some cases going on up in Connecticut, and he had some cases going on down in Texas. And I can't remember which trial he represented him, if it was the Connecticut case, or the I want to say it was the Texas case that Norm Pattis represented him. Now, Alex Jones he's this very, very controversial conspiracy theorist that used to have a famous YouTube channel, but it was taken down, and now he's just has a huge online presence. But he's like a Trump supporter, and that whole thing. And but he was sued by the parents of the Sandy Hook tragedy because he had alleged that Sandy Hook's was all a hoax. So they sued him, and they won millions of dollars, millions. So Norm Pattis was his lawyer, and I gotta hand it to the guy, because Alex Jones is a very, very difficult client. If you want to look him up, you'll see he's got the grayish hair, and he wears it in a ponytail. So he has a very distinct look, but he was representing Fotis Dulos. So Fotis had some money; he could hire a really good lawyer. Same lawyer that millionaire Alex Jones hired. Anyway, enough about that. So here we go with the testimony yesterday. So they finished up with the guy that was on the stand Friday. This is the Sergeant Francesca, and he did straighten out some things for me. So I talked about him getting the cell phone records of Fotis Dulos. Now, Fotis voluntarily handed over his phone. So this is how they were able to figure this out. So they figured out his cell phone had pinged in Farmington that morning. Now, remember I looked it up yesterday, Farmington is part of Hartford County. So I was a little confused about this. But Farmington is where he lives. Fotis and Traconis were living at the time. And then his phone was pinging on Albany Avenue in Hartford, which is different than Farmington. Hartford, the city of Hartford. So, but that was that evening between 7 and 8 p.m. So then he goes to this C4 place, which now I understand, because it was explained by the next witness very, very well, that C4 is owned by the police, the city of Hartford police, and it's got cameras all over town, and they use these cameras. They're running 24/7. They're watching for crime, apparently, and they have the ability to do some incredible things. So one of the things that he was doing when he went to this, they call it Capital Center, C4. When he went to C4, he said, I wasn't just looking for these vehicles that Fotis owns and why he might be in Hartford. I'm also looking for Jennifer Doulos. So the one of the witnesses after him actually ran that center, and he took the stand and he explained what the center does. And they run this program called Brief Cam, and you can put into this program because they've got cameras everywhere in this place. We got cameras all over the city, and what they can do is they can enter into this program a make and model of a vehicle or a license plate, and the program will look through all of the footage and pick out footage where they find this. So they entered the make and model of all of Fotis Doulos' vehicles: the Black Raptor, um, the Road Ranger, and the Chevy Suburban. And he owned I don't know if he owned any more vehicles. Anyway, they're all outlined in the police affidavit. So what was coming up was this Black Raptor, and so they showed through the next three witnesses, they showed the footage of this Black Raptor driving through the streets of mostly on Albany Avenue. Apparently, Albany Avenue is like a main thoroughfare. You can see Fotis Doulos make several stops at garbage cans, and he gets out of the vehicle and he's taking these large bags of trash that are black, like construction type bags, and putting them in the trash. And at one of the stops, he gets out and he dumps the trash, and he also goes back to the truck and he pulls out of the bed this large object. And it looks like a floor mat to me. And he takes that and he walks towards this building, and the side of the building there was another trash receptacle, and he just dumps it there. So unfortunately, by the time they saw this footage, it was like the 31st of May, and this had happened on the 24th. So by the time they go out there, that mat's gone. Somebody took it, and they did have footage of like someone rifling through the trash after he had dumped um, a bag of trash in there. Um, and just this black man, he came up and he's rifling through the trash. And to me, it looked like he was pulling out bloody stuff, but and walked away with it. So they did say that they were able to identify who that was. So I don't know if we're going to hear from this guy or not. So I'm going to show you some of these as I'm talking. I'm going to be showing you some of these photos where he stops and he's dumping the trash. But on one of the stops, he gets out of the vehicle, and you can tell that there's another person in the vehicle with him. Well, this other person leans out of the Black Raptor. I don't think this person actually exited the vehicle, but right next to the passenger side where they stopped were these two storm grates. And this person puts something in the storm grates and then gets back in the vehicle. Now, the testimony was that this person did meet the description of Michelle Traconis. And we find out through cross-examination of a witness later on that Michelle, when she was interviewed, actually admitted, yeah, that's me. Yep, that's me. And the other thing that came out on cross, the police had to admit that sometimes construction people will dump stuff out because they don't want to pay for a big, garbage thing to come, and because they're being cheap. I don't know. So that's what he was trying to make it sound like. Maybe they were just dumping out stuff that's trash because they didn't want to pay the trash bill or something. I don't know. Because Fotis, we know, owns a construction company. Interesting. So the last officer that was on the stand, he was actually tasked with going out to this center and actually viewing all the footage that had been identified by this program as having this black Ford Raptor on it. And when he looked at the footage of this person putting something into the storm drain, he immediately calls the water company, or he asks the police, the Hartford police, who controls this storm drain, and they told him who it was, and they called this uh, water company and asked them to come out with a pump truck so they could drain all the water out of this and see what was put in there. So when they get there, their pump truck is there, but they said, we need an empty one so that um, someone can't come back later and say, oh, this was already in your truck. If you suck up something, well, that was already in there. So they leave and they come back about 30 minutes later. Meanwhile, they're all standing there guarding this storm drain. And they come back with an empty truck and they put down a hose and they're pumping out this water out of the storm drain. This officer that was testifying said they also had members of the dive team out there because they didn't know what they were going to be in for. If they needed someone to go down into the drain. So they were able, as the pump was pumping out water, they heard this loud clank. And apparently what had happened was that there was an envelope that had got stuck on the suction thing that was pumping out the water. So when they pulled that suction thing out, there was an envelope stuck to it. It was a FedEx envelope. Inside this FedEx envelope were 2 license plates. Here's the license plates. And so they radioed to dispatch and they said, can you run these license plates? And the response that they got was, there's these license plates, this number doesn't exist. It doesn't come back to anything. So another officer who had gloves on starts looking closely at these license plates and realize they've been altered. So here is what happened. Let me write this out here so you understand. Hold on. Oh, my pen is running out of ink. Of course. All right, here we go. So what they realized, oh, you can't see it. All right, so this T, it says 5T6WBU. So the T, they realized this top part of this bar of the T had been altered. It was really supposed to be a 1. And then they looked, and this B was really supposed to be a D, but it had been altered to look like a B. And then this U was really a J. So when they ran the new numbers, it came back to a Chevy Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos. Now, and that's where the prosecution leaves it. But then we find out, because I'm thinking, why in the world would he put 2 identical license plates into a FedEx bag, into a storm drain? It doesn't make any sense. And it made even less sense when the cross-examination of this witness, he had to admit that it came back to an old Chevy Suburban that Fotis owned. And those license plates hadn't been active for 4 or 5 years. The Chevy Suburban he owned now was a newer model. So why are they getting rid of these old license plates, and why are they altering them? I don't understand the context of that. What is that? But apparently there was something else found in the drain, or I don't know. There was something else. When he when he shows the envelope to the jury, they take it out of they package it up in the evidence bag. So he puts on gloves, the witness, and he takes the envelope out, and he takes the license plates out. But apparently there were 7 other things in this evidence bag that we don't know what it is yet. That's coming in through a different witness. So I don't know. I guess there's more to come. Yeah. Anyway, let me see if I missed anything. Oh, there was a lot of objections by the defense attorney because the prosecution was trying to say that this was a WeatherTech floor mat that was taken out of the vehicle by Fotis and put on the side of his building. And he, on cross-examination, the defense attorney got him to admit it looked like a rubber mat, but we don't know what kind or even if it was a rubber mat because by the time they went to retrieve it, it was gone. Trash had already been picked up and people had already rifled through, and somebody saw a floor mat and said, "Oh, I bought that," especially if it's a WeatherTech floor mat. Anyway, yeah, that's the update. They ended court early, like 4 o'clock. So that picks up again today, and I'm so curious what those other 7 items are. But this is the first piece of evidence, this video of this passenger putting something in the storm drain. Obviously, it's Michelle Traconis because she said, "That's me. Yes, that's me on the video. That's Fotis on the video." So apparently, just dumping their garbage at 7:30 at night. I mean, that's what I do every night at 7:30. I go out and take the garbage out. Yeah, I get in my vehicle, and I have a vehicle. I get on my tricycle, and I go dump it in someone else's trash, so I don't have to pay for my cans. No, of course not. All right. So I have another interesting little snippets here that I found on the internet this morning. This is like a major crime out of Florida. Yeah. So a 42-year-old woman named Jessica Beebe, she had been arrested on December 28th of 2023 for possession of drug paraphernalia and driving on a suspended license. So, one of those fine, upstanding Florida citizens. She's living in Clearwater, Florida. So she goes to court and they put her on, they work out a plea deal. It's a misdemeanor. You put you on probation. So they put her on probation. And when she goes into the probation office, she tries to pass off her aunt's dog urine because she was subject to random drug tests. So she tries to pass off her aunt's drug urine. Now, we don't know how she got the drug urine from the dog or how she got caught. But apparently labs actually test for that. Just an FYI, in case y'all out there listening are subject to random drug testing, don't use your dog's urine because labs test for that and it flags right away. Well, this is not human. This is not human. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Yeah. So she's been arrested again. Yep. I know. Big crime. Big crime. All right, guys. Yeah, that's it for today. Yeah, like I said, not a lot of testimony yesterday, and but I did want to bring that stuff to you today, and I will see you tomorrow in Crafting and Crime Daily. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.